Okay, welcome to another Ask Blue podcast. I'm joined today. Normally I have special guests from different partners that we work with, manufacturers or sometimes ISVs. It's a bit of a boring one today. I'm just joined by some colleagues who I get to see more or less every day in the office, but we've got a really good topic to speak about around our ISVs and the ISV program. So welcome Emma Witty and Jamie Mitchell. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves, Jamie?
Yep, thank you, Richard. So Jamie Mitchell, Business Development Manager at BlueStar UK, specifically aligned to retail and hospitality vendors and technologies. Prior to this role, about 10 years working aligned to supply chain, predominantly manufacturing, transport, logistics, retail DC, from both a distribution and working for a reseller partner in that space as well. So good perspective of not just different verticals and technologies, but different positions within the channel as well.
Great stuff, thanks Jamie. And so a lot wealth of industry experience to join on, despite being significantly younger than I am. So
we'll see.
Yeah, well, put it to the test. Yeah, Emma.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Emma Witty. I've been in distribution now for 23 years.
That makes me feel old.
I know we are all old.
Well, I am
now.
old, but yeah,
we all are.
It's my age that makes me feel old.
And I have, for 20 years of that, I've worked primarily just on the service side of things. Now working a lot with software vendors, so brand manager for software vendors across Europe. And here now, because I'm now running with you, the ISV program.
Good. So, well, that leads me very neatly into my first question. Obviously, we're going to talk about ISVs, independent software vendors. We'll probably get into a little bit more understanding of the definition of that as we go along. But I suppose the starting point is we're a hardware distributor. Why do we even care about software?
Very simply because it helps to build that solution. Software is the most important part of that solution. A piece of hardware is a piece of hardware. When we're talking to resellers, and Jimmy, you'll know this as well, when you're obviously going out there as a BDM speaking to partners, they have come to us with an issue. The issue is usually around how does a software bring that solution together and fix that problem that they've got. The hardware comes secondary to that. So I think we're actually ideally placed to have that conversation and to build this program because of that.
Absolutely. Jamie?
Yeah, definitely agree. I think if you think about what a distributor has to do well, the principal ingredients are there. We need to give good customer service, good response, deliver stock, credit terms. Where BlueStar differ, I believe, is in our value adds. What we don't want to do is take the relationships we have with our partners for granted and be seen just as a supplier, but find ways in which we can give back to them in terms of knowledge or equip them with relationships that will help them build their business. And what we're doing around the ISV program is part and parcel to that. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think really, really important point is although the hardware, I think when we were talking about this earlier, you said it's just a piece of tin, Emma, which I thought was quite disrespectful to the hardware.
It is to the hardware, yes.
It is. Without the software, it isn't really, an elaborate ornament, isn't it? But I think it's really important in terms of the software that software that if we're going to make a software recommendation, we want to make sure that it's tried, it's tested, and that it actually works with the hardware that we're putting forward. So again, that's another important part of this. So we're here to talk about what we call TEConnect, which is the name for our ISV program that we've developed. And I guess we want to get into a little bit as well why we think BlueStar is particularly well positioned to help resellers to discover new software solutions. Right, we're a hardware distributor. We shift tin. That's primarily what we do. We make our money by boxes going out of our warehouse. So what is it about BlueStar that makes us particularly well positioned to be able to make software recommendations, to even bother having an ISV program? I think from my perspective, working for distribution, you become very well connected in terms of where you sit, your position in the channel. You're liaising with vendors, manufacturers. You're also liaising on a daily basis with partners and ISVs to that fact as well. So you're seeing a lot of innovation and development, technology move on. You're able to take that information, give that back to the partner community. Potentially they might be too busy to see from their perspective
or take time to look into this. So being able to kind of give that back, these intros are essentially just a formalization of a process that we've already been doing through word of mouth for.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this since about the mid 14th century. It sometimes feels like, but yeah, it's definitely something we've been doing for a long time. And I guess really with the ISV program, all we're looking to do is put some kind of formal process behind that to make it a little bit more open what we're doing, right?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it kind of says on our strapline, we're BlueStar, the solutions distributor. That's kind of exactly what we are. Doing this, like you say, we've been doing this informally for a number of years, especially as BDMs. That's your key job, right? That's exactly what you're doing. It's a relationship management. It's bringing them people together.
Yeah, I mean, we're introducing manufacturers to resellers a lot. Sometimes we're introducing the manufacturers to the resellers. Software comes into play. Some of our resellers are also software providers, and software is a key part of it. So
exactly.
We're going to be making those introductions.
And I think obviously the fact that we are BlueStar with solutions distributor, we are formalizing that, like we've said. That's exactly why we are the best people to be doing this, because we are a solutions distributor.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed from my perspective that partners are wanting to move towards a singular point of support. We've seen, if we take an area like retail and hospitality, in the last 4 or 5 years, tremendous digital transformation. We go back to what a typical retail and hospitality operation looked like prior to COVID, and obviously the changes in which consumers now have to interact with these businesses has been immense. And to a certain extent, these partners now, it's very difficult to keep up.
I think the solutions themselves have got in some ways a lot more complicated as well, haven't they? I mean, you and I are both very familiar with the retail side of things. And if you look at how retail technology's changed in the last 10 years, the last 5 years, the last 18 months, there's been such a rapid pace of change, and that need to be able to easily introduce to the market this plethora of new solutions, many of which we have from partners in the ISV program. I think that's been, it's challenging, just to keep up with that in terms of knowledge about it. But then if you think about it from a reseller's point of view, the ability to be able to pull in these new solutions quickly without, you don't necessarily want to go out and develop your own soft POS solution, for example. And I'm sure that there are examples of that in the supply chain side of things as well. Yeah. So I think it's really just helping resellers to be able to bring those solutions together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's challenging, but it's also an opportunity. I'm sorry to keep reiterating the retail and hospitality example, but if we took an organization that had been delivering, say, an EPOS solution traditionally, that has now seen opportunity in the boom in something like self-service, wanting to move into that area. And this reiterates the point of that singular point of managed support and service around hardware. They're already working with BlueStar for the EPOS system, for the receipt printer, for the cash drawer. So being able to come to BlueStar and have that trusted consultant that could push you in the right direction, that could give options depending on what they need from both an application perspective or what region they're going to deliver it in, will make their life a lot easier in terms of discovering a solution and bringing it to market rapidly.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Emma, you're also the brand manager for software at BlueStar. I mean, that gives you a pretty good head start in terms of knowing about the importance of software for to hardware resellers.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like we've already said, the hardware doesn't work without software. It doesn't work. Full stop. It will switch on, and that's all it will do. The software is so important to build that overall solution. We're seeing software revenue for vendors that we have on the books growing exponentially, quarter over quarter, month over month, year over year. And the fact that we've built this program now helps them partners as well, that we have partners that have their own software solution. That's absolutely fine. We get that. But actually, this helps them to branch out, that if they have a partner that comes to them with a problem, we had one recently, where they came to us where they wanted a track and trace solution. So we took them to our ISV portal. help them with the filters to actually break that down and find a couple of ISVs in that space that we could then make them have contact with, then hopefully to build that solution out for that end user.
Yeah. I suppose now's probably a fairly good point too, because we keep talking about the portal and the program and everything, and I guess it's probably a good point to stop and elaborate a little bit more about what is the program, how have we put this program together?
A lot of hard work, Richard. A lot of time with me and you talking about it. I
just feel like I've spent an unreasonable amount of time with you on this.
So we, as you know, we talked about what is an ISV. So prior to this, I think me and you were actually very much aligned on what we believed an ISV was and are. A lot of people have a different view on that.
Well, I think we accept that there are different ways of looking at ISVs.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the pure ISV and the solution ISV. Categories, haven't we?
So we've based this program around it's pure ISV. So we're looking at software vendors. That's all they do is they sell software. They're trade only, so they don't compete with our partners in any way. And they actually help us to sell hardware sales. That's the idea, that this is a reciprocal relationship, that they come to us with leads, we go to them with leads, and they help us to shift that tin, right, and sell that solution.
That's it, So our definition of a pure ISV is basically trade only, software only, and obviously with some relevance to the hardware that we offer. We're still very, very interested in working with solution ISVs as well. I mean, that's a solution ISV is somebody that would, yes, they have their own software just the same, but they sell that as a solution, including hardware. Also would be relevant to the hardware that we offer as well. But often that's a self-contained sell directly to the end user. So where a pure ISV differs is particularly the fact that they're not interested in actually selling the hardware themselves, and the fact that they're trade only as well. That makes them a really good partner for the resellers that we work with.
Exactly. And they come to us. We found as well recently, I mean, I guess as well a lot over the years, that especially you two on the POS side of things, that some of these ISVs, because they're not interested, that's actually a hell of a lot of business that comes back to us, right? So it's definitely a reciprocal relationship that we're looking at.
I mean, some of them have been helping us for years, right, Jamie?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was clear that we had the software vendor relationships in the first instance. All we needed to do was really define it and put a formal process against it. Just to reiterate your point around the pure ISV category that isn't selling that hardware directly to the end user, that isn't selling their software directly to the end user.
Competing, right? That's it. Exactly.
100%. We love making recommendations for that category because there's going to be no instance there whereby that ISV could potentially be speaking to the same end user. They might be speaking to, but there's no instance that they could commercially trade and ultimately compete with our reseller partners. So it's complementary to what they do without risking any conflict within their end user base.
So we're able to make really safe introductions, basically safe in terms of non-competitive introductions for to our resellers, so that they don't have to. I mean, we often make introductions for solution ISVs to resellers as well. If they've got particularly a niche solution that other resellers don't have, we still make those introductions. It's just that we're not formalising
and I think
the program.
Sorry, Rich, I think we've found over the years that actually a lot of our solution partners work together very well. They all do anyway. So we're not getting into that space. We're actually bringing something else to the table to help to build that solution.
And
some of those solutions ISVs that are delivering, let's be clear, they might have a partner delivered solution as well. They might have a channel strategy. It might just be mixed model. So they might have a team that is specifically working at delivering their solution by partners, but then they might have a direct team as well. Many of those solutions ISVs are coming to us and saying, actually, the future is through the partner community. We're looking at changing our strategy so that in however many years it might be, we'll be delivering 100% through the revenue, 100% of the revenue through the partner community. And this program, albeit not immediately relevant for where they are, is there essentially to reiterate to them that we'll help them in terms of shaping that strategy. And when they get to that point that they fill that classification, we'll continue to help them in terms of the promotion we're doing with them in the ISV program.
I think it goes back to what you were saying before about just in distribution, you end up being very, very well connected with lots of different companies. I sometimes think it's a little bit like being Morgan Freeman in the Shawshank Redemption, where you're the person that people go to acquire certain things and to I'm not trying to sell you a rock hammer or anything here, but I think it's you do end up knowing where to go to get. I'm looking for this type of solution. Where can I find this? Richard, Jamie, Emma, and we're the right people to give them that advice. And I suppose it's important to say as well, we mentioned POS and retail a couple of times as well. What is the scope of the vertical markets that we're able to do this in? I guess I'm probably aiming that one at you, Emma, because we're both going to say POS, right?
Yeah, it's not just POS. It's not the POS show. This
is really, Jamie.
It's not. Honestly, guys, it's really, really not. It's really not. This is across all verticals. We're literally looking at anything whatsoever. As long as the ISV fits the criteria and sits within any of the verticals that we're interested in distribution, then they are more than welcome to join the program.
So we've got ISVs in healthcare.
Correct, healthcare, warehousing, track and trace for different solution areas. So we're looking at it from a verticalization, but also a solution as well, a software solution as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And another interesting thing about that is it's helping us to get into adjacent markets.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So I know Emma said that it's not the POS show, but Richard said that it is. So I think I'm okay to mention it.
It's not.
Digital signage is an area from a technology perspective that we are, we've expanded the line card of hardware options, but it's a new area for us. And as much to Emma's point earlier, software is necessary to kind of bring that full solution. Hardware is just the vehicle for the application. One way we've been able to do that is through the introduction of an ISV such as Deneva, who have a content management system that can help push that content to the screens available, and that's really helping us take a full package to those partners that are in, let's say, hospitality EPOS or self-service that have recognised a potential adjacency in digital menu boards, for example. We're able to put that full package together with the relevant.
It's the same end user that needs that solution, isn't it? So if you're putting the POS in, or if you're putting the food ordering kiosks in there, you might as well be the person that puts in the digital signage. And I think the structure that we've put in place, with these pure ISVs that we're working with on the program, it lends itself really well, particularly to digital signage, because that's really how that market is set up, isn't it? In terms of the software provider does the software, the hardware provider does the hardware, and possibly even have a separate content management ISV as well, which with Deneva it's an all in one. But a really good example of how if our customers are in hospitality or retail, and in fact this goes beyond just those markets as well. The digital signage can be used a hell of a lot in healthcare as well. Yeah. If you're in those markets or any other market where there's a need for signage, what we're saying is we've got the partners that can help you to get into those markets. We've got Deneva's a good example of that. We've got a couple of others that have got solutions very similar. So it really does help resellers to expand their business in the customers that they already have in a lot of cases. But I suppose as well, it's not just about the vertical markets. It's also about different regional markets. We've got ISVs in the program that cover pretty much the whole of the territory that we work in. So EMEA, all the way across EMEA, and in a lot of cases going even beyond that as well. Some of the ISVs that we're working with are global, and this is helping resellers and ISVs to expand into different markets and different territories, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the key things that we're doing with the ISV program is actually vetting the ISVs that are approaching us to join, to make sure that they've got the right capabilities regionally. So if we have a partner, let's just take an example as a UK partner, they've got an end user that is across Europe. They come to us, we can then make sure we're partnering, giving the ISVs that can help them to partner in them different regions, because we've vetted them to make sure that they've got the technical capabilities and they've got the language skills as well to be able to support that end user in the different geographies.
Yeah, that language skills thing I think is really important, because you can say we do all languages, because if you've got access to Google Translate or DeepL or something like that, everybody can speak all of the languages, everyone can translate all of the languages. There's a big difference between being able to translate this into French into Google Translate and actually being able to speak French and support an end user that has a requirement.
Yeah, and I think doing this as well, obviously bringing back to Jamie's point earlier, it actually makes it more of a consultative relationship again, that we understand the needs of that partner to help to support that end user, and we can bring then that full solution together.
Definitely, yeah.
I think if we look at the regional expansion point, obviously we pointed out there a number of ways that can benefit the partners we're making these introductions, the resellers we're making these introductions to of our ISVs. But it's equally as useful to the ISVs within the program looking to expand to other regions as well. If I think about a recent example of one of our ISVs, Smart Evolution, who developed a hospitality and retail EPOS platform, Android-based. They've a good established partner network now in the UK of partners that we've worked on collectively, their existing base that have grown. They're going through the process now of making relevant payment integrations into the Nordics countries, where the acquirers are different potentially to who they've already integrated with in the UK. And as they gear themselves up to be able to deliver and support that application in the Nordics countries, they need partners because they're a pure ISV. They are reliant on the partners to bring that to market. So thankfully, myself, retail and hospitality for the UK and Ireland, but we also have a team of of technology specialists or vertically aligned business development managers across Europe. We have Morten, who looks after the Nordics region, Morten Cruz, who's based in Denmark. So what we've been able to do there, albeit somewhat premature in terms of getting that integration up and running, is connect them at this point so that they can start to plan, they can look at the right profile of prospective partner, and we can give back in relevant intros, not just to the resellers, but also to the ISVs in the program as well.
Yeah, I suppose that leads on quite neatly to the next question, which is like, how do you, if you're a reseller, how do you go about finding the right ISV for your requirements? Because on the one hand, you've got the knowledge of that. How are we actually helping ISVs how are we helping resellers to find the right ISVs?
Yeah, several ways. So I guess the first point of contact would be obviously your account manager, the BDM, to be that consultative model. But Jamie doesn't know everything about everything, so we've created a portal. I'm sorry, Jamie. Sorry.
We weren't supposed to tell him.
I know, I'm sorry. But we've actually created a portal. So on the BlueStar website, if you go to programs and services, into TEConnect, that's what the ISV program is called, we have a full list there of the 43 ISVs that we have on the program. And on that, you can search by verticalization, because it's not just about POS. You can do it by solution area. And we can also do it by support language. So again, bringing that back to, we've vetted these ISVs, we're making sure that they can actually speak the language in the region that you want them to actually provide the solution in. So
you could say that you could select the vertical as being, say, manufacturing. You could select the solution as, I don't know, labeled as, MDM's a good example, And you could select the language as being German.
Correct.
And that'll completely narrow that down.
Yes, exactly. So instead of having a list of maybe 5, you'd get down to a list of 2.
Yeah.
And then based on that, you can then make a connection. So you can either speak to your account manager and say, can we have an introduction? You can speak to your BDM, or you can actually fill out a form on the website, and that'll come through to me and Richard, and then we can then make the introductions from there.
Yeah, that's it's pretty
very straightforward. Exactly. Yeah.
I think from my point of view, the portal formalizes what we were already doing. So we're already doing these word of mouth introductions, and you get a little bit known in the industry or on LinkedIn, and hey, can you recommend somebody? But this is actually allowing you to do this without you don't even have to talk to us anymore, which for many people would be a blessing.
Well, they do, because we haven't actually named all of the ISVs on the portal.
Right.
So we want to manage and help to bring that. We want to be consultative in this. So we're actually making sure that we're actually part of that process moving forward. I
suppose also part of the reason for that is it's helping us to track the introductions that are being made, and also to make sure that we want to keep. I think we firmly believe that with the partnerships we've selected, these are safe introductions, that we're not introducing competitive elements into this. But if we can manage and curate those introductions, then we can also track that as well.
Yeah.
It also means that we can track where the interest is and where are we looking for solutions.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps us to then, like you said, to help to grow the ISV program where we see a space, or we're seeing maybe digital signage is going crazy. So actually we need to bring in another ISV and look for one out there and bring it in for another region, because maybe Geneva can't support a particular region, for example. So
I mean, they're pretty global, but it's
exactly.
Point,
but I'm not using them. It's an example.
Of course. So then, beyond the portal, what else are we doing to further promote the ISVs that have signed up to the program?
One of the things we've already been doing across Europe that I've been involved in from a UK and Ireland perspective has been the TEConnect events. It's a different event format to the traditional BlueStar event, where typically we use it as an opportunity to put as many of our hardware manufacturers, vendors, or the ISVs that we are distributing licenses and services for on the platform in front of resellers, even our solutions ISVs, to give them an opportunity to update that community on the latest innovation in their portfolio. With the TEConnect event, we scale the number of manufacturer or vendors supporting right back, and we put the pure ISVs within the program in the spotlight. It's a sort of multimodal show. One thing that we do that's really great is we put each of them up on the stage with a short time, single slide, quick pitch, not about the history of the company or any of the sort of dull details that might take up about 10 PowerPoint slides, but straight into who are they, what do they do, what regions do they cover, how can they help those partners expand the services, complement their existing portfolio of services, and ultimately, how can they make money from reselling their software and services as well? And that works really great.
I like the bit because we did that when we did that in Birmingham. We gave them 2-3 minutes, and then at the end of that we played the countdown music, so they had 30 seconds to finish off if they
trapdoors, sharks with laser beams, you name it. And unfortunately,
expensive.
Well, they all came back alive, which is probably good for our ISV numbers. But we've done this twice in the UK now, focused around retail hospitality.
We've also done it I know we've done quite a few of these in Spain. We did it on a smaller scale, and we did it also in quite a lot of different vertical markets as well. I know our colleague Esther in Spain ran on one on manufacturing. I think there was a retail one as well, and a couple of other different ones as well. So And
we also do the ISS events. So these are pretty much in all of the main regions in Europe. And this actually goes back to what you said earlier, actually, Jamie, about the ISVs wanting to get into different regions. This is an actual ideal opportunity. So you can have an ISV that's based in Spain primarily, but they're actually wanting to go off into the Nordics. We've got an ISS event in the Nordics, so they can actually come across to that event and meet with partners. So again, very much like a TEConnect event, maybe not as large. It's not as focused on the ISV. At the ISS event, it's more on the manufacturers, but we do give the ISVs 2 minutes on stage to talk about their solution, to try and get that across to the partners. Come and speak to us. This is the solution we're bringing to the market. It should
be enough, right? If you can't explain what you do and how you partner with people in 2 minutes, then you're maybe not capable of doing
exactly.
it.
So we usually have a space for about 5 ISVs at the ISS events, and we try and mix that up so it's not just POS ISVs. We're also bringing in other verticals as well.
We do those.
We do.
Okay, that's interesting. Didn't know.
Yeah.
We also there's other things as well. So some of the digital marketing that we're doing to support the program as well. Things like webinars, newsletters. So we're doing as much as we can to podcasts. We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast right now. Yeah. And the webinars we did through November. So my first time doing a webinar, Richard, yours?
Mine too, yeah. I think anyone watching the webinar would know that it was my first time doing the webinar. So
so we just did 3 webinars in November, beginning of November. We should be putting them up on the internet at some point so everyone can read can listen to them. But
I'd love to say they went really well, but let's say the
third one they did.
The ISVs did very, very good presentations. Loosely tied together by rambling.
And again, we split that against different verticals. So we had a hospitality, we had a manufacturing, and we had a retail webinar. And I think by the third time, Richard, it was okay.
The third one was a charm, wasn't it? Yeah. What else, Jamie?
So outside of the marketing stuff, it's very much word of mouth from a sales perspective as well. So thankfully, in many of our offices across UK and Europe, we have dedicated demo sort of experience areas. Sometimes they're verticalized. And we're actively bringing our partners into this environment to showcase hardware across a multitude of different technology areas.
So rather than showing hardware, we're actually showing working solutions, including the software from the ISV partners that we're working with.
As fantastic looking as the hardware that we distribute is, far more.
Would it be wrong to call it sexy? It would definitely be wrong to do that, I think. Yeah.
If I wasn't questioning you already, I definitely am now.
But it's even better with the.
It's even sexier when it's running an application and you're not just looking at a blank screen. It allows for a different conversation to flow as we're bringing these partners through for solution showcases, sales meetings, whatever it might be. And we are working closely with those ISVs to have as much variance as possible in terms of the applications we can show in those rooms.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it all just adds to the word of mouth element of it as well. Although we're putting a lot of things in place to support what we're doing, that it's very much underpinned still by the word of mouth and the introductions and the fact that we're out there talking to people about it. And hopefully, with the marketing we're doing, to encourage people to learn more about the program so that we can help them to understand more about the solutions available from the ISVs. And that's across the regions, right, Emma?
Yeah, it is. And I think one of the things that we're doing, Richard, is obviously having them monthly meetings with the BDMs. So across Europe, all the BDMs are involved in that meeting so that we can make sure that if Jamie's got an ISV that's important that wants to branch out into the Nordics, you're presenting that to Morton in that group.
Yeah.
But it's not just for Morton, it inspires the other BDMs as well to think, oh, actually, that would work in my region. That's maybe something that I can bring to market. So it helps with that cross-pollination across the regional teams as well. Yeah,
definitely. Because we're adding ISVs all the time. I think you mentioned before we got to about 43 ISVs so far, which is great. I mean, what about expansion? What are our thoughts on? We've got capacity for more, or
definitely say we're not at capacity. I think from our perspective, we're very specialised as a distributor in these areas. We can pin under supply chain, retail and hospitality. We certainly don't want to spread ourselves so thinly, but we want to complete the picture by having as many relevant adjacent software applications that fit that pure ISV category as we can. What I would say, I think, is that if you're recognizing a gap in there, then please let us know. We're constantly speaking to ISVs that we think fit the bill to try and expand upon that. But by no means do I believe we're at capacity at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's important not to be oversubscribed. I think is one of the things we're keen to make sure of on this.
Yeah, so one of the things we did was before we even started building the program was spoke to the vendors, as you know, Richard, and ask them outright what works well, what doesn't work so well. And quite a lot of the vendors that have ISV programs were very honest and said they were oversubscribed. They had no idea what they had, who they could support, what regions, what verticals, anything like that, what support capabilities they had. So we wanted to keep this very niche because we've already, as soon as we launched the program in July, I think we had 10 MDM suppliers wanting to join immediately. So we are being very niche, we're being very relevant, making sure that they fit, that whoever we're bringing onto the program fits the gap and fits where we believe the partners need it.
I think there were definitely some niche suppliers in there as well. I think selective is probably also a word that we've used here. We've been very careful about the criteria. I mean, the fact that the ISVs have to be trade only and software only, that already rules out a lot of solution ISVs. That's not to say that we won't work with them to help them to find new partners and everything, but keeping it very limited to the criteria that we have, I think means that we're not going to be oversubscribed. We've not set a number on what the upper limit is, but we're not looking for hundreds of additional ones. It's not. We don't want the ISV program to turn into the closing scenes of Spartacus, where everybody's an ISV and everybody's on the
and obviously not just that. I mean, we're doing all of the marketing capabilities and everything that we're doing and helping partners to find the ISVs, but we also need to be able to give back to the ISVs, right? Because if we're expecting them to give us leads and give us business and vice versa, we need to be able to obviously make sure that we can support them. And if we've if we've got 200 ISVs on there and there's me and you looking after it, Richard, as well as our normal day job, then how do we manage that? Even with the help of the BDMs, we'd still struggle.
It's the paralysis of choice as well, in terms of, you mentioned earlier, ensuring it fills the gap. So certainly if we look at the areas that we play in and we realise that there is a gap that might work in conjunction with our hardware and build potentially an area of technology we don't have coverage on, then fantastic. What we don't want to do is have, and I'll use a retail and hospitality example, to 20 ISVs that fit into the retail and hospitality category, and 18 of those deliver an EPOS solution into similar use cases. Because as you mentioned, we can't help everyone in that instance, and we need to make sure that's reciprocal. We need to make sure that we're giving back. And we also need to make sure if the reseller goes onto that portal and they use the filters and they drill down, that they are presented with options that are digestible and kind of not overwhelming. Where do I start if they're overloaded with options?
How do you pick from 18 different POS providers? You can't. But if you narrow it down to the operating system choice and the various other ways that you can do that, I think it is definitely more manageable. I think already we've got some real world examples of where resellers are potentially able to actually, not even potentially, but actually finding value within the ISV program.
I mentioned one earlier that I'll sort of call back to and elaborate on, which was our partners are busy. Specifically those individuals that are making decisions about what direction their businesses are going in from a technology perspective or a software resale perspective or a regional expansion perspective, are super busy trying to do the day job, and they might recognize a need to research, to take time out to test, to see demos, but it's how do they give up that time when there's just so much innovation out there. Just to call back to some of the things we were mentioning around about marketing in the demo room, this is how we feel the ISV program can give value to those with very, very limited time, because that information can be found in a number of ways. It can be found through speaking to your account manager. It can be found through going through the ISV portal. It can be found through tuning into one of the upcoming webinars, for example. So it's about trying to curate that list, trying to make it relevant for specific verticals, cross verticals. We've mentioned that it's certainly not restricted, and deliver it in such a way that they're getting all the information they need. They know it's channel friendly. They know it's been vetted, and they're able to get that on their own time with whatever limited time they might have.
I think, Emma, you had an example as well on that one?
Yeah, I do. So we've got an ISV that's on the program called PostTag. And they bring in that last mile. So it's UK address verification. So it helps with the delivery companies to make sure that they get to the right address first time, every time. How does that help our partners? Well, a lot of our end users now are very much looking at being greener. So it helps to keep them CO2 emissions down. That's a key area for a lot of our partners now and a lot of our end users that I think, again, that brings significant value to that reseller, that if they have that specific goal from the end user who's looking at deliveries, they want to make sure they get that first address the first time, every single time. And we all know, right? We're all real people. We all have deliveries that don't turn up on time or don't turn up at all. This company, this ISV, helps to do that and also brings down the CO2 emissions at the same time.
Definitely, there's some relevant solutions, and I think as well helping resellers to sell more hardware with that as well. Yeah, good. And I think one thing that's for me is really important is obviously we want to help the ISVs with making introductions to our large network of resellers, but from the point of view of what's the benefit to the reseller, most of the ISVs that we're working with are doing their own lead generation, and then they need the software. Vendors need resellers to fulfill that complete solution. So the software needs hardware. They need a reseller. They're trade only. They need a reseller to be able to deliver that. So it's for our customers. It's a lead generation program, and it's really we've got some really good examples of ISVs that we're working with that are generating leads, and in a lot of cases on a daily basis for resellers. So that's working really well. Yeah, and another interesting thing about that is how this is enabling BlueStar to create reciprocal partnerships between ISVs, resellers, and vendors, and that it's not just about ISVs getting leads to the resellers. It's also about the vendors perhaps passing leads through, vendors looking for solutions, resellers have, they sign up with an ISV, they start working with them, that creates further opportunities. So it's already starting to work really well, and I think there's a huge amount of additional potential in this. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. That's why I'm using my excited voice to talk about it. You guys, any closing points from yourselves that you'd like to make, Jamie or Emma?
Yeah, sorry.
No need to argue about it. You're both going to get.
I'll jump in here first. So what I would say is come and speak to us. So come and speak to me and you, Richard. We've set this program up. We should know what we're talking about. So come and speak to us about it. Reach out to your account manager as well. And go onto the portal. So go to our website, go to Programs and Services. TEConnect is the name of the program.
Yeah.
So go to that, check out the portal itself. And when you've done that as well, if anyone's got any recommendations of a good ISV that they believe would fit the criteria, so trade only, software only, come and speak to us, right? I mean, we're always open. We're cross territory, cross verticalized as well. So come and speak to us, and maybe that's an ISV that we can get added to the program if you're working with them as a partner already. And they fit that criteria. Yeah, definitely. That trade only and software only ISVs. Exactly. There's not hundreds of them out there. That's why we designed the program this way. So definitely keen to talk to more of those. Jamie? Yeah, definitely reiterating what Emma said about reaching out to your account manager, your key account manager, but even your business development manager contacts, if you know who that is. Richard, Emma, the ISV team. We mentioned about some of the events that we've done at ISS and TEConnect, which is built around this program. If that sounds of interest to you and you're wanting to know what we're planning throughout 2025 across Europe for both the ISS and TEConnect events, reach out and we'll be able to share our planning with you. We mentioned about the demo rooms that we have across the UK and Europe. So if you've not visited one of our tech showcase rooms, please, again, reach out to ourselves, your account manager, your key account manager. We can let you know what vertical solutions we've got on show and where the closest one is geographically. We'd be more than happy to welcome you in and showcase some of the hardware and software solutions from our TEConnect program. As part of that visit. Might even get a free cup of coffee doing that. I wouldn't go that far. No, well, we'll to be discussed, right? But yeah, good. Okay, well, thanks both very much. It is, as always, I'm gonna say this like I mean it. As always, it's been a great pleasure talking to you both. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you. Good. And what we'll do is we will include a link which you'll be able to see in the description for this video to the portal, so you can go straight to that. Thanks again, Emma and Jamie, for joining me today, and thank you very much for listening to another Ask Blue podcast. We'll see you again soon.